Hello and welcome to my latest gun video. This one's just a general information one. Now what it is about this gun, which I've recently acquired. Now what this is a Carrero and Astelarra model Atlas. Now anyway, any of you who may be familiar with the Savage Model 24 we'll look at this and realise it looks very similar. Not only does it look similar, it's identical. It's actually a direct copy of the models of the Savage Model 24. Now the Savage Model 24 was made, I think, from the late 40s or early 50s right through until, I'm not sure when, 70s or 80s. It was basically the same. This is a combination gun. So we've got a shotgun, a rifle barrel. I'll talk about the gun a bit later on. But the Savage Model 24 came in a variety of different. It was basically the same receiver. They did do a lot of modifications. There were some that actually had, the early ones I think had a barrel selector on the side here. Some had an opening lever on the side here. Some had an opening lever on the front here. And some were just obviously exactly the same as this one, where you've got the top lever like a sort of average normal shotgun, and your barrel selector is actually on the hammer, so we've got bottom barrel, top barrel, like that. Now, Carrero and Astelarra were a Spanish gun making company. I've done a fair bit of internet research and there's not a huge amount of information on them. There's a lot of people asking the question, who are they, what are they, whatever. Not a lot of answers. So basically what I'm telling you today is probably about all there is. Basically, there was two fellas, Jacinto Carrero and Paxi Astelarra, and they were technicians at the Astra Gunworks. You've probably heard of Astra. They were a big gun manufacturer in Spain. They may even still be going, I'm not sure. They mainly made pistols right through, I'm not sure when they started, but definitely through the Second World War era and afterwards. Quite high quality pistols. These two guys were technicians or gunsmiths, I guess, at the Astra factory. They went off on their own and started their own gun company. Now I'm not sure exactly when that was. I do know for a fact that they wound up in 1983, and this gun here, from its proof mark, was made in 1970. So that suggests to me they probably started sometime in the 60s and went through to 1983. Now, as far as I can tell, I'm not exactly certain, but I'm pretty sure, as far as I can tell, they only ever made 3 models of gun. There was this one, the Atlas, which was the copy of the Savage Model 24. Now they made another one called a Vanguard, which is a single shot shotgun. Now looking at the photos of it, closely looking at photos of it, there's quite a lot of them around in Europe, UK and Europe, on the second-hand gun market, on online gun sales and auctions. And it's obviously made from the same receiver as this. The receiver was identical. But the shotgun barrel, instead of being kind of down here, seems to sit higher in there, so it has a central firing pin. Instead of having these 2 little firing pin retaining holes on the side, there's just one on the top. But other than that, it looks the same. It could be that, I'm not even sure, possibly Savage Stevens may have actually built this on a pre-existing single shotgun action, I don't know, but yeah. So that's what the Vanguard is. Now the other model that they made was the Phantom. Now what the Phantom was is an over and under shotgun, and it was an exact copy of the Browning model B25 superposed. So very well known shotgun, probably the first successful over and under shotgun ever made. Still made to this day, slightly modified probably I imagine, but still made in the same basic design now. But apparently they're actually pretty well made and pretty well finished. And it looks to me like they're an absolute bargain. There's always, overseas especially, there's been a couple on gun sales here in Australia I see, when you search and it comes up with a gun sales site, but by the time when you look it's actually gone, it's obviously been sold. But they have been for sale in Australia. There's one for sale at the moment in New Zealand, quite a few in the UK and in Spain there's quite a lot too, in Spanish gun sites. But yeah, an exact copy of a Browning Superpose. Now, if you want a Browning Superpose now, an older one, in good condition, you're going to be paying many thousands of dollars for one, like an FM made one. These ones are going for a few hundred, the one in Australia I think was $450. The one there's one in New Zealand at the moment as we speak at Gun World on their website. Normally from 600 it's down to 350 New Zealand dollars. So yeah, if you see a Phantom. Now, one thing I didn't mention was you may see them called CYA. Now, CYA is just Y is and in Spanish. So that's just another name for the company that they call themselves. In America, I think they tend to use the CYA brand name rather than the full name. And on here, it's actually got on the proof marks, it's got CYA on it. So if someone gets one of these guns over in the States, but of course they're not registered, so you don't get a sort of description of what they age to buy it. You see, CYA, but that's what it stands for. So yeah, the Phantom, if I'm going to keep my eye out, now that I've actually discovered, I'm just researching to do this video, because I thought there'd be quite a few people who, find this video because they're looking for information on these guns. If you see a CYA Phantom in good condition for a good price, I would be snapping it up, because you're basically buying a well-made repro of the Browning Superpose. So, yeah, so back to the Atlas. So basically what I've told you is basically all the information that there is on the net about these gun makers, or that I can find anyway. There's probably some more in Spanish websites, but my Spanish isn't that good, I'm afraid. So back to this one. Now this particular one is 20 gauge 22 long rifle. It has only 2 3/4 inch shells, so that's one difference between this and the Savage Model 24. The Savage 24, the 410 and 20 gauge, they were always, from what I can gather, they were always 3-inch shells, 76mm. Whereas in Europe, where the main market for these are, they don't tend to use 3-inch shells, just 2 3/4. So these are only chambered in 2 3/4 shells, so that's probably the main difference between this and the Spanish the Savage 24. Now there is actually a brochure, an online brochure on this, which reminds me, Savage 24, they've got their own website if you're interested in them in particular, savage24.com. There's all sorts of information about Savage 24s on there. And on the Savage 24 website, someone's actually posted some brochures from these guns from way back in the day. So it's actually got pictures of the guns and all the chamberings, and basically they've chambered in 22 Magnum, 410, 20 gauge, 12 gauge in various, I don't think in every single combination, but in various combinations. But I think this was the most common one from all the ones that I've seen advertised. Most of them are either 20 gauge 22 or 14 gauge 22. So they seem to be the most common ones. So that's about it. So probably what I'll do now is we'll go in on and I'll zoom the camera in. We'll have a bit of a closer look so you can kind of have a really good look at what it's like if you're sort of just interested in these Spanish ones in particular, or if you're a Savage 24 guy and you want to see how close it is, then yeah, you should be able to tell. Feel free if anyone kind of sees any differences or anything like that that I'm not aware of, because I don't have a Savage 24 to compare it to, by all means let me know. One thing I didn't mention about these is, I know that some parts, I know that this part here on the hammer is interchangeable. There was a guy in Germany on one of the forums who was looking for this part for his Atlas, and then eventually he found a gunsmith who had an old Model 24 that he was parting, and he bought this part of the Model 24 and it fits straight on to the Savage. So I know that part. The only thing you've got to watch out for with Spanish or European repros of any American guns is the thread pitch. Sometimes they'll do a complete reproduction, but because they've got metric tooling, they'll put metric screws in there. This little screw here for the firing pin, I've actually got at home because I've pulled it out. I will actually get my thread pitch gauge and I'll measure the pitch of that thread and see if it's actually metric, or whether they've used metric or whether they've just copied it straight off the Savage 24, which would obviously be imperial. I'll post that on this video because that might be interesting to anyone who's looking for parts for one of these and wants to know how they feel, or if someone might have lost one of these screws. Anyway, what we might do now is we'll take this in the other room. I'll put it on the table and get the camera close up so we can show you a close up of it. Alright, so there's a close up of the receiver. Nothing much going on there. It's a fairly cheap construction. The hinge pin is just a knocked-in pin that's obviously got sort of knurling on the outside to hold it in place. So, which indicates if you had a loose one of these and you needed to put a new hinge pin in, you'd have to knock it out from left to right. There it says Model Atlas, Carrero and Astelarra SL, which I think is just the company sort of designation. Guernica, which is in the gun-making Basque region near Eibar in Spain. Now, if we look at the hammer here, so it's actually got a rebounding hammer, so you can see it kind of goes forward, hits the firing pin and then comes back. So that's actually on the 22 now. The actual firing pin's missing at the moment, but that's on the 22 barrel. And if you wanted to fire the bottom barrel, then just click it forward like that, and cocks like that. So it's all pretty simple, really. The top lever. Now, if we look at the forend, you can see it's actually obviously hand checkered, fairly fine checkering, but kind of. I mean, I'm not a checkering expert, but kind of fairly. There's a fair few, if you read about how to do checkering, there's a fair few flaws there, but I suppose they just do them quickly because it's only a cheap gun. The same on the wrist and pistol grip here. Again, I mean, it's actually, it's quite a nice deep check. It's pretty fine, and it would give you a pretty good grip, I reckon. So and you can see there's a bit of engraving, so there's a knurling and then a bit of fancy engraving on that looks like it's actually hand engraved, that part there on the lever. It's knurled on the bottom of the forearm as well. So it came with sling swivels, which I've just taken off to make this easier. And now if we look on the other side, not much going on there really. We just got the two retaining screws for the firing pins. The top one is missing because I've taken the firing pin out because it was broken. I bought this gun for $99. It's about 70 something US dollars, so it was a pretty good buy simply because it had a broken firing pin. So I'm actually in the process of making one now. Got a buckhorn, it's pretty standard sort of sporting type sight, and a fixed front sight like that. Now the alloy, this is all steel, but the trigger guard is alloy. Now if you look there, turn this over so we look like the right way. You can see some makers marks. CYA 2070, so that's 20 gauge, 70mm, so which is standard 2 3/4 inch cartridges. So and then there's a couple of it's a bit worn actually, but there's a couple of proof marks. These are the standard Spanish. It's a standard nitro proof mark there, and that is one of the Spanish proof marks. Now to remove the barrel, these just have a kind of a spring cap, so you basically just get the front and pull it upwards like that. That goes against spring tension, and then just it comes off like that. Now I might just, so I can use my right thumb to do this. Back in here. So there we go, there's the barrels. This is, and I've looked at some photos of the Savage 24, and this sort of all looks the same here. We've got sort of just extractors here, and now I don't know if we can look at these proof marks. Being a European gun, has to go through the proof house, which in Spain is in Eibar. So if we go through these proof marks, 15.3, so that would be the choke diameter. 15.5, that would be the bore diameter. We've got the standard Spanish proofs here, proofed to 1,000 kilos. CYA, so that's the maker's name, 2070, that's the chambering, and 01. And what that is, 01, that's actually the year code. Now if you look online, you'll actually find a few places where in Europe, so Spain had its own codes and Italy had a different set of codes. But you can actually just, if you can work out this number from all the other proof marks, you can actually work out the year of manufacture, because that's what that is. And 01 corresponds to 1970. So made in 1970. Now one thing about this gun, this barrel, which I think probably varies from the Savage 24, is it's actually painted. So you can kind of see where the paint's worn off, where it's touched the things. A couple of spots up here near the muzzle where it's worn. So so that's obviously a cost saving measure. The muzzle is a pretty hefty barrel. So on the top of the pistol barrel here, you can see there's some proof marks here. That one's the same as on the bottom, that one's on all three places. That one's the general proof house acceptance mark, which is like a little shield with a knight's head on the top and crossed rifles. This one here is like a little kind of flaming bomb sort of thing. That's different to down the bottom because that's a rifle proof mark. The one at the bottom, the big BP in a shield, is a shotgun proof mark, but this is the rifle definitive proof mark, and also obviously the chambering 22 long rifle. And there's your barrel locking, hinge pin, not much going on there. There's obviously that notch there is for this this part that's actually to do with the ejectors, I think, but they seem to be working okay. So when you put this together, if you look inside the bore and see how that little latch is going into that notch, you just got to, if you don't get it kind of lined up perfectly, it won't close, but once you get it lined up, it'll just click back into place quite well. Well, that's about all there is for this gun. It's pretty simple, really. Just the most interesting part is being a combination gun, and I guess being a exact copy of the Savage 24. I've never had a combination gun before. I've mainly bought it because it was cheap, because of the broken firing pin. It was a good project, but I'm always interested in different designs. One of these would be good. I reckon this would be a good gun for if you're travelling or maybe out on a property and you just wanted to have one firearm kind of to cover everything you need to do. You got your 22 barrel for small game, 20 gauge. You know, you could shoot birds on the wing, shoot rabbits on the run. You could load it with buckshot or even rifled slugs and shoot medium game with it. So yeah, pretty universal gun for all sorts of uses. I do have another video that I'm going to put up, specifically a gunsmithing video about replacing the making and replacing the firing pin on this gun. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, you can watch that. Otherwise, if you're interested in my type of videos, feel free to subscribe and please push the like button. And thanks for watching.